welcome to the Mix Lovelies and Friends. And on the mix, we have Tina. And Tina speaks about Vegas and, the events or the things that were spoken allegedly to Vegas, CMR, and what CMR said to him allegedly. So go ahead and go catch the video, hear what she has to say about CMR and the victim and the other victims that have suffered from the hands of people that were close to them as well. So go ahead and catch the video, hear what she has to say. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so when I post, you know. And for all my lovelies out there celebrating their wonderful birthdays, happy, happy birthday. I wish you joy, love, peace, happiness, and prosperity throughout this year. For all my other lovelies, my supporters, my friends, my followers, my subscribers, whoever you may call me, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day.
CMR came to him with a totally different story, in comparison to what was on the discovery with his arrest record. You know what I'm talking about. With him being arrested, he gave a sworn statement to police officers about the events that took place when he was arrested for what he was arrested. And when Mr. Vegas made the comparison, Mr. Vegas realized that there were two different stories that he was told, right? He saw one on the discovery and CMR told him a totally different story, which kind of paints CMR as a pathological liar. And Mr. Vegas expressed that he had proof in his phone that CMR lied about what he told Mr. Vegas versus what's on the arrest paperwork. Now, we had a bunch of questions as far as why was a camera, like as far as the child being exposed to CMR. We wanted to find out why was a camera inside the room. These were questions that, of course, none of us are going to be able to answer because this is not our home. This is not where we lived. We are not Chrissy. We're not in the heads of Chrissy and CMR. But upon hearing about this camera inside of the child's room, it was also on the discovery of the arrest paperwork. And we want to know, why was there a camera in a teenager's room? A camera, any recording device, period. Why was there a recording device in this child's room? It's kind of weird to me. Was it left over from the kids being babies? But why is it active? Why is it recording? Stuff like that. These are questions that need to be asked, right? Were the cameras in the room to protect the child? What was something going on? Were the cameras in the room to protect the child? I didn't know that the oldest daughter wasn't his. I was assuming, Bev John, that the oldest daughter was his, honestly. I was assuming that all four kids were his. And I was just looking at them like the perfect family, because who doesn't want a two-parent household? In addition to that, they're very young, and to see young Jamaican people doing it the right way, based on society standards for what a family is supposed to look like, I was really impressed with what they were doing. Unknown to us, everything wasn't all peachy. You understand what I'm saying? Denise Gale said, I believe the kid would never lie. I believe the kid 100. The kid will never lie about something like this one. She's very smart and intelligent. I hope and pray that she doesn't blame herself. No, she is not. She probably is a little bit scared, a little bit frightened right now, because this is something that, of course, has hit it hit social media. It's very public. People know about it. People know that it's her, number one. So psychologically it's gonna be heavy on her. She's 12. She's well spoken, she can express herself, and she understands a little bit based on her, she understands what's happening. I'm assuming, right? I'm understanding that she understands what's happening. It's just unfortunate that all these kids, including the victim, everybody knows them. They're out there in the public, right? So there's no hiding for her. Even when she gets older, this information will be out there and it will be traceable, right? Now, the thing about it is that a lot of people didn't believe that he did it. And of course, we're still reserving, like Vega said, we're still reserving about 1% innocence, right? But based on certain facts that has hit the airwaves, of course, we have to presume guilt at this point, because his stories are just not making sense. And the minute somebody tells different versions of a situation, of an issue, we're going to automatically know that he's guilty, right? In the court of public opinion, right? And the burden of proof will be proven by the prosecutor. But right now in the court of public opinion, no, sir, him guilty. You know, he always has the camera focused. It's sad that these things were sticking out to the public and nobody said anything. Remember, this is a family that lives their life in the public eye, right? So everything was being recorded and somewhat edited, but either way, their lives were fully public, right? It's not like them coming on social media and just posting one picture and stuff like that. No, everything was just out there where they lived. They pretty much had no privacy because that's the life they chose. And that it's kind of sad, that her face is out there. She has friends, her family knows about this, you know his family knows about it. I wonder how his family feels, his mom. I wonder what's going through the mind of his mom right now. What does his mom do? Is she here or is she in Jamaica? I don't know. What about his sisters, his brothers, his friends? Like, what are they thinking about him at this moment? Because this act is just nasty. And unfortunately, these predators live with you guys. Like, you're not thinking that there's this dark side to them, right? And it's so shocking when you do find out that they're predators, right? And it's sickening. It's really sickening because this is a man who can get anybody he wants, right? He is in the public light. He has a BMW and he has the whole finesse about him and stuff. And if she stays with him, Bev, yeah. If she stays with him, she herself needs to be evaluated if she stays with him, quite honestly. And I'm not being soft on her if she stays with him. The brother is probably a nasty perv too, Skeeter. The brother is probably a pervert too. What I can't understand is, why are so many Jamaican men associated with pedophilia? Why are so many Jamaican men associated with pervertedness? Why are so many Jamaican men associated with molestation? Why are so many Jamaican men associated with rape? You get what I'm saying? Why? It needs to be studied. Something is wrong with a lot of our men. What's the issue? Right? Are they being exposed too early? Is the sexualized culture an issue? Right? Is the sexualized culture contributing to our men? Not all our men, I'm being general, but is the sexualized culture contributing to our men being sexual predators? Right? What is it? Is it because the laws are too relaxed? Is it because the culture, the third world culture, doesn't see a problem with it? Right? People said Chrissy lied. Listen, I'm sorry, Tara, but as a mom, as a woman, I will believe. I'm just a little bit different, as most women are, um I aside of me, because I was exposed to certain things, where older men, like this older guy, I told you, this older guy touched me on my boobies and stuff like that when I was a kid, and he used to use candy to kind of reel us in, you know? Because I know these things are possible, it's hard for me not to believe it. So, because number one, I was a victim of lewd behavior, right? I am more prone to, I am more, I want to, I believe first. I believe first because I was exposed to that, unfortunately. You know, I was exposed to it, so I have to believe first. Number two, I am a mother. I have to believe first. I see if I look out for things. I have to believe first. And then if there is any presumption of innocence, then that will come later after things start falling in place, right? But as a mom, I believe first. And that's always been my stance. Years ago, I used to do a lot of vlogs here on social media. Before social media became this toxic, let me give you a little bit of history about who I am, okay? Years ago, I used to do a lot of call-in vlogs, right? You see how these people are calling in and I mix up and all them something there? No, my vlog was more about points of interest, real points of interest that affects us in our everyday life. That's what my vlogs was about. My vlogs also focused heavily on predators in our culture, in the Jamaican culture. And so, because of that, I used to have a lot of people, a lot of women calling in, telling their stories about them being molested or GARRAPE. I was going to say grape, but just for community Facebook thing. Yeah. There were a lot of women who used to call in or they would write in and tell me their stories and stuff like that. And I would put their story out there. I would type up their stories. But while I was doing this, people did not know that I too was a victim. They didn't know. They just saw me doing it. And, you know, from where they were sitting, they just looked at me as a writer putting a person's story out there. But behind that story that I was putting out for somebody else, I too was a victim. And that was my way of dealing with it, you know, kind of like trauma bonding, but in a positive way. You know, I kind of understood where they're coming from as a victim because myself was a victim when I was much younger. I was roughly about 8 or 9 years old. And that meant the man touching on my, you know, here and here, you know, and stuff like that. And we don't know, a lot of people who have never experienced these types of violation before, you don't know how it affect you growing up, right? It affects you growing up. No matter how subtle it is, it will affect you growing up. Somebody called in on my YouTube channel earlier and he told me about his experience. He's 65 years old and to this day he's still holding on to a secret. Like he just told his aunts about it. But he's thinking of confronting the man who violated him. And the man who violated him was his uncle. His uncle violated him when he was much, much younger, right? His uncle came in the room and forced and penetrated him when he was younger. A young boy. I think he was maybe 10 or 12. I didn't remember. It's there on my YouTube. I'm gonna open the video in a minute. But he was very young, and his uncle was an older person, obviously, and his uncle penetrated him. The man is now 65 years old, and he's just conjured up the bravery to share it with his aunts, what his uncle did to him. Now, when he told his aunt what his uncle did to him, the aunt and somebody else said, hey, you know, he did it to his daughter. He did it to his daughter. And people start coming forward with their own stories about this uncle. Come to find out, the uncle did it to his own little brother. The uncle did it to his little brother. Just now on my YouTube channel, the uncle not only violated my caller, who is his nephew, but the uncle violated his own brother. okay, his own brother and his daughter, his own biological daughter, he violated. He said he was 9 years old. Thank you, Marie. The victim who called in on my page on YouTube was 9 years old when he was penetrated by his uncle. And now at 65, he said he's happy that it didn't really affect him, but it's something that through the years still remained on his, still bothered him, right? It still bothered him because it happened to him. And he's thinking about confronting the uncle because the uncle is in his 70s now. So he's thinking about confronting the uncle. And I suggested you need to do it before this uncle kicks the bucket, because only then will you have some closure. And he's like, well, if I confront him now, he'll probably do him something really bad. But yeah, but if he does him something, if he punch him in the face or whatever, he deserves it. If you get what I'm trying to say, you know, he would deserve it, you know. Sorry you had to go through that, but I watched an innocent guy did years in prison because a child lied on him, and when she confessed, the family told her to stick to her words. Okay. I mean, and of course we are reserving Bryson. Of course, we do know, because I read, like I said, I read in Mr. Vegas's comment section where a couple social workers, they did comment below his video today and said, as the fact that they're in the field of social work, they do know that kids lie, you know, and they have to investigate it. And when you look now, you know, when eventually after they investigate it, they find out, okay, it's not true. So yes, kids do lie. You know, we're not going to say everything is true. Kids do lie, and there are people out there whose entire life gets messed up because of kids lying on them. You know what I mean? And you know, that type of accusation is not something that is good once you're accused of it, right? It's not like it's stealing or something. You know, this is something a little bit more serious, a little more sickening, and it's also considered, it's a felony. You know, it's a felony. You know, so how does somebody bounce back from that? You know, after they were accused of doing something like that. It's hard to bounce back from that, right? Your image gets tarnished. You know, how do you bounce back from a situation like that? You know, because they're kids who lie, and then there are families who coerce these kids to lie and stick to their story, like you said, Bryson. So it's true. So I do understand the other side of it, right? I do. But because of the nature of what it is, you know, people are more prone to believe that, hey, this did happen, you know, and very, very few times do people, well, you know what? A lot of people on social media defended him. You know, I saw some posts where people defended CMR, saying that they believe him, and well, they're defending him, saying that they don't believe he did it and stuff like that. And these were women. Some people decided not to speak out against it, which is their right. But, you know, as women, it begs the question, like, if you have kids and you see something like this happening, it points to who you are as a mother. I'd want to think, right? Just think about it, ladies, right? If you have kids and your daughters come and say, you know, isn't that a reflection of certain things? Am I wrong, Phil? Think about it. You know, there's some presumption of innocence, yes. But in this situation with CMR, right? Like what I said on my YouTube channel, one of the reasons why I more believe the victim is because, number one, she did not just say one instance, right? She didn't just say one thing, right? She was able to give dates of when it has happened prior. It has happened prior, right? It's not just, okay, I'm going to tell a lie on you just to be malicious. No. She can give dates, and she can give times and stuff like that. And she can give a breakdown of what happened, right? Most times when people lie, the story doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. But because of the nature of the crime, you get locked up, right?